The recent discussion surrounding the FBI's background investigations has raised serious questions about transparency and internal procedures. Allegations that investigations of certain political nominees were paused have fueled concerns over potential interference. The focus on whether employees' political affiliations were considered adds another layer of controversy. At its core, this exchange highlights the delicate balance between oversight, procedural integrity, and impartiality within federal law enforcement.
What happened during the pause of FBI background investigations that was alleged in the complaint against you and the FBI by the FBI agents who were terminated? On February 12th, Amil Boie directed the FBI, quote, to pause any FBI background investigations of Trump nominees until Patel was confirmed, which happened on February 20th, is the general description of what they alleged. Why, do you know, were background investigations paused? Was it so material like this could be scrubbed out of them? And have they been resumed without that pause fully and normally after your arrival on February 20th?
I can speak to the time period since I got there. Background investigations have been ongoing across the board at the FBI.
Why was the pause, do you know?
I was not there.
Wasn't explained to you when you got there? Oh, by the way, boss, they've had an 8-day pause on background investigations. You think that would be something that would be explained to you at some point?
Again, I leave it to the men and women at the HRD division to run background investigations. I do not interfere with them.
I get that. But what I don't get is whether you were told about that pause, and why would you not be told about that pause?
I don't recall that, sir.
All right. The allegation also relates that part of the employee review of senior staff was whether or not they voted for Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. Since when is who you voted for a proper question for agents to be asked?
I don't know what allegation you're referring to, Senator. If it's from an ongoing matter in litigation, I can't discuss that. But what I can discuss is I can only speak to the FBI's background investigations. There are other background investigations conducted across the government. I can only speak to mine.
Just to clarify, I'm not talking about the FBI full field background investigations. I'm talking about internal employee reviews for promotion, for termination, for job actions of various kinds. And my question to you is it now the policy of the FBI to ask agents who they voted for, and since when is who agents voted for a proper question for the FBI to ask?
Taking those in reverse order, it's not a proper question, and it's improper to allege that I'm doing that. And also at the FBI specifically, under my leadership, we do not ask who you voted for. And just one correction for the record, if I may, Senator, it's Security Division that runs background investigations, not HRD.
Okay, I'll accept that correction. And in the event that we cannot locate your grand jury transcript, just expect a question for the record that will give you the chance to either provide that transcript again if it had been previously provided, or to make the statement that Grand Jury Rule 6E allows you, to the best of your recollection, truthfully, about what it is that you told that grand jury. Do you understand that?
That's why I wanted the transcript released, and we'll get it to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
The discussion around the pause in FBI background investigations, as alleged by terminated agents, underscores a broader concern about transparency, accountability, and the potential politicization of internal federal processes. According to the allegations, Amil Boie directed a pause on background investigations of Trump nominees until Kash Patel's confirmation, spanning roughly 8 days. This pause, while seemingly short, raises critical questions about the motivations and the potential consequences of such a suspension. In an agency like the FBI, where continuity and integrity of background checks are foundational to the security and functioning of the federal government, even a temporary halt can create vulnerabilities and perceptions of impropriety. The timing of the pause, coinciding with the finalization of a politically appointed FBI director, inevitably fuels speculation that these investigations could have been manipulated, delayed, or otherwise influenced to favor certain political actors, or at least shield them from scrutiny during a transitional period. Director Patel's response, emphasizing that investigations have continued across the board since his arrival and that he does not interfere with the HRD division, is a standard defense aimed at asserting nonpartisanship and operational normalcy. However, the exchange illustrates a disconnect between procedural norms and the perception of those norms within the workforce. The fact that a new director would be unaware of an 8-day pause and seemingly not briefed on it highlights potential lapses in internal communication and raises questions about institutional oversight. While Patel leaves the running of background investigations to the HRD division, this explanation does not fully mitigate concerns that such a pause, coinciding with a politically sensitive period, might have strategic implications for personnel decisions, security clearances, or the overall vetting of key political appointees. In high-stakes environments like these, even minor pauses or procedural deviations are amplified, not only internally, but also in the public discourse, where trust in law enforcement institutions is already a fragile commodity. The questioning further touches on a deeply troubling allegation that employee reviews of senior staff considered political preferences, specifically whether they voted for Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. If true, this would represent a serious breach of civil service ethics and FBI protocol. Employees' political choices are personal and constitutionally protected. To evaluate career advancement, promotions, or terminations on that basis would constitute a form of institutionalized political discrimination. Director Patel categorically denies that such questions are proper or practiced under his leadership, clarifying that full-field background investigations, which are distinct from internal employee reviews, do not include political preference inquiries. While this distinction is crucial, the very allegation illustrates a profound tension between perception and reality within the Bureau. For rank-and-file agents, even the suggestion that political loyalty might influence career outcomes can erode morale, instill fear, and potentially compromise the FBI's independence in enforcing laws impartially. Additionally, the discussion around the grand jury transcript emphasizes the broader theme of transparency and procedural propriety. The transcript, as governed by Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E, allows a witness to disclose the contents of their testimony after the fact. The request to release the transcript, coupled with Director Patel's assurance that it will be provided, reflects ongoing tensions between congressional oversight, individual accountability, and the operational secrecy required for sensitive investigations. The underlying concern is that limitations on access to these materials, whether real or perceived, can generate suspicion about the integrity of the investigative process. Congressional committees rely on accurate, timely information to ensure that law enforcement agencies remain accountable to the public. Any perceived delay, obfuscation, or selective disclosure in providing grand jury materials can undermine public confidence and contribute to narratives of bias or cover-up, irrespective of the procedural justification. Taken together, this exchange underscores the delicate balance the FBI must maintain between independence, procedural integrity, and accountability to oversight bodies. While Director Patel's statements assert a non-interference posture and adherence to proper protocol, the surrounding allegations, including the pause in background investigations and questions about political loyalty in employee reviews, highlight how internal actions are interpreted in the broader political context. Even if there is no direct misconduct, the perception that investigations could be influenced, delayed, or selectively applied can damage institutional credibility. For an organization like the FBI, which operates on public trust and the perceived impartiality of its enforcement and investigative actions, managing both reality and perception is paramount. The discussion also illustrates the critical role of oversight and documentation, including grand jury transcripts and background investigation records, in providing transparency and ensuring accountability. Ensuring that internal investigations are conducted independently, free from political interference, and fully documented is essential not only for upholding legal standards, but also for sustaining the public's trust in the FBI's mission and integrity. This entire exchange is emblematic of the broader challenges facing federal institutions in politically polarized times: the need to balance operational secrecy, adherence to procedure, protection of employee rights, and responsiveness to congressional oversight, all while navigating allegations of bias or impropriety. It is a vivid reminder that, even in agencies committed to law enforcement and public service, perception, transparency, and procedural fidelity are as crucial as the investigations themselves. Without these safeguards, even routine administrative actions, like a pause in background checks or employee evaluations, can be construed as politically motivated or ethically questionable, underscoring the importance of maintaining rigorous standards of impartiality and clear communication at every level of leadership.